if you have the work ethic and you have the desire to connect and really appreciate the people who put you in the position that you're in to be able to create for a living. And so without further ado, I want to present to y'all, this is a world premiere actually, the Superphone documentary.
You know, you see a lot of artists now testifying to their independence. What was that breaking point for you? What was the point that you decided to make that move? Like, what initial event took place?
When you sign to a record company, it's like a loan, you know. And, you know, at least when you go to school, you got student loans. You know, you pay back a little bit of interest. When you take an advance from a recording corporation because you want to create, because you want to make sure your music is heard by a lot of people. You want to potentially get on the radio. You want to make sure your music is in the stores and everything. They might give you some money up front. They might give you a whole budget. And then, like I was saying at the end of that video, they're in your pocket for 80% of your revenue. You know what I'm saying? And it's 80% of your money after they get paid back, right? So first of all, the math is all the way messed up, right? And for some folks, like a little tiny, you know, we probably name 13 or 14 artists. You know, the math works out because they make a better than average living, right? But the real reason why I decided to go independent was pretty simple, man. Like, I sold 180,000 records my first time out the gate, and then the second time we only sold 60,000. And so my question to the label, when I walked in to my marketing meeting, I said, okay, well, if we had 180,000 people the first time around, how my album sales go down? And they said, oh, well, you know, the single wasn't, you know, and it didn't catch a rate. I said, but hold on a second. We had 180,000 people. Where they at? Like, why didn't we just email them? Why didn't we just send them a text, let them know I had a new project? Oh, well, we don't have that information. We actually don't know who those people are. I said, well, okay, well, I don't want to be in business with you. I gave you guys the responsibility to take care of be custodians of my art. Make sure that when you give me this money and y'all want to get your money back, that y'all help me to think in a better business mind so I can make some money too, because y'all all the way in my pockets, but y'all don't even know how to get the money back. Like, y'all still scratching your head, you trying to get on the blogs and, hopefully, give a little money to radio. I mean, I know the whole process, trying to get my followers up. Well, your followers wasn't up. And I'm saying, like, I'm interested in real people, not followers. Followers are empty eyeballs, man. There's people following 500 people. It doesn't cost anything to follow somebody. I'm interested in the people that actually, we had 180,000 people who went in their pocket for $12 or however much it was to get my album, and you are telling me you don't know who those people are? You can't email them? You can't find them? Who'd you give them to? And they say, you know what, we gave them to iTunes. I said, so basically you gave me money, spent money on me, to put my music on a platform, which then, because they love music, they get on the platform, they buy an album for a little bit of money, and then instead of me being able to tell them I got a new product, iTunes goes and sells them a $600 iPhone, and they can reach them all the time because you got Apple ID, so that every time they want to buy something new from Apple, it's real easy. The credit card is on file. You know what I'm saying?
The location's on file.
You type in a password and now you got, iPhone, iPad, laptop. And so my little $12, because we went to iTunes too. We said, well, it would be cool. We'll make more money. Why don't you guys got all the emails. Why don't you hit everybody and let them know that I got a new project? And the response, well, really, it wasn't really the response. Was like, nah, we don't do it. And I tried to think about it. And someone, one of my mentors came to me and said, well, you know what? iTunes doesn't want to send an email to your fans and risk somebody unsubscribing over a $12 product. Because they're selling $600 and $1,200 and $1,900 and $3,000 products, right? And they do it every single time, right? You guys put your blood, sweat, tears, passion, music, time, money into your product. Then you go give it to someone because you feel like that's the only way you can get your music out. You feel like that's the only way you can make some money off your music. And really, they don't really care about the little $12 you make it. They're gonna take 3 of it, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna take 30%, they're gonna take $4 on every 12. Oh, that's even if you can sell your album for 12. They actually tell you how much you can sell your album for, right? So if tomorrow iTunes decided, and that's what they're doing with music, Apple Music, that people don't even have to pay for your music, then you don't really have any say over that. You don't get to, figure out how much you want to sell your product for, right? So that's why when we work with Nipsey, we said, well, I want to sell my joint for $100. Well, we showed you can't do that. You can't go on iTunes and say, yo, my album's $100. It's gonna get rejected from the store. So we helped him set up his own store so he can say, yo, my album's worth $100. And people could go and get it, and he knows every single person that bought that album. He can thank them personally. He can show up at Crenshaw, he can show up in New York, he can show up in ATL. He knows every single person. It was not a lot of people. It's like 1,000, 1,000 people just in his hometown, and then, more people. It wasn't no 500,000 people. But 1,000 people at $100 is 100 racks, right? 5,000 people at $200 is $1 million. 5,000 people at $200. 10,000 people at $100 is $1 million. I'm interested in giving people a pathway so they can get to that million, because once you get to that million, you have a lot more freedom. You can go just take your mom, like, hey, all the nights I was spending in the studio, and when I told you I didn't want to work at Starbucks and I didn't want to get the UPS job because I really love this music, I feel like I got something to offer. She's not gonna look at you and say, well, that's a stupid thing to do. And the thing is that like the music industry, I just had a meeting yesterday with Steve Stoute, right? And he made a great point. He said all the music companies, they all give you the same deal. So even if you hot and you can get a bidding war, you're gonna still end up with the same deal. Somebody might give you a couple more dollars, but you end up with the same deal, which is hopefully 12 or 18% on every CD sold. So you gotta think, to get to $1 million that way, you gotta sell 800,000 CDs. Who's doing that in this climate? Who's doing that in the world of Spotify? Who's doing that in the world of free YouTube streams? Who's doing that in the world of free Apple Music? Very few people. Just to give you a statistic, 800,000 people released CDs last year. 800,000 people released CDs last year. 97% of those 800,000 people sold less than 1,000 copies. And guess where they sold them? They probably sold them on like TuneCore, through iTunes. And so if you only got 800 people in the world that bought your album, how come you don't want to know their email, their address, their phone number, so you can say, yo, of all the people in the world, I promoted this everywhere. I promoted it on SoundCloud, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Vine, Snapchat. I got a profile on every single social channel. I put it out there, and only 800 people cared enough about my music and my career to actually buy it. Don't you want to know who those people are? Don't you want to thank them? Don't you want to be able to reach out to them and tell them you got a special book, you got a special T-shirt, you got a special concert, you got a special list. So every time you drop something new, when you talk about why did I leave a label, it's just obvious, right? And the other thing is that I definitely don't want someone who doesn't make music to tell me how my music should sound, like they actually know what makes a hit, right? So it's one thing if I'm in the studio with like Swizzy, or I'm in the studio with Ye, or I'm in the studio with Jay, and they've actually made hits before. But for somebody in the marketing department or somebody in the PR department to be like, well, this is by PD, I think you should go a little more trap, I'm like, yo, when's the last time that you actually called the hit before it was a hit, right? Most people get Monday morning quarterback all day. They'll tell you why something became a hit. Well, I just knew that so-and-so shared this, and you can always trace the steps back, but nobody can really predict a hit and put it on YouTube and know that it's going to be a hit. Otherwise, there would just be a job of that. Like, I don't even care about anything else. I just go to that person and play my song for him and say, hey, is this a hit? Okay, and if he says yes, and I put all the money behind it, right? Nobody can predict that. You know what I'm saying? When Fetty was in Patterson, New Jersey, writing Trap Queen, this was just another record that he did. He made the best video he could. He put it out. It connected. And it became a hit. But he's one of those outliers, like 2 of those people a year. 2, 3 of those stories per year.
If that.
If that, right.